2. Swinging a ground ball over towards first. Murray backhands it, flips it to Reed, and it's over. For the second time in the last 3 seasons, the South Bend Cubs are Midwest League champions.
Welcome into our 30-minute rendition of Road to Wrigley, proudly presented by Prevagen. Today is a pretty fun episode. I'm pretty excited to bring in Max Thoma and Brendan King of the South Bend Cubs, the championship 2022 Midwest League champion South Bend Cubs. These are the play-by-play broadcasters. You might have heard a ton on Marquee this year calling games. The team went 8-1 on Marquee with 4 walk-offs, so there was definitely some good vibes being on our network, and it's awesome to have them in studio. We're going to recap the South Bend Cubs season, talk about this beautiful trophy we have in front of us. I don't know if it's a Gold Glove trophy. I don't know who designed it. It looks pretty good. I like it. But hey, we got to get into this right off the top. When this season, Max, did you think South Bend had a chance at winning the Midwest League title?
Well, I'd say, when we got the opening day roster, the team was absolutely stacked and loaded. But in minor league baseball, that roster is going to change a whole lot throughout the course of the season. And as a lot of guys got called up to, Double-A, even to Triple-A, I think the day that I knew we had a good chance to win the championship was when Porter Hodge made his first start, and you knew that the rotation was once again in good hands with the addition of him and Devers. I think we kind of just rolled from that point on.
That's beautiful. Porter Hodge, we have an interview coming up with him in the second block of the show. Brendan, is it Hodge? Was there another moment that stood out to you where you were like, I think maybe I'm going to get another ring to match the one that you currently have on your finger from a couple years ago?
Need one for each hand right now. But, Matt Mervis had an early season walk-off home run in South Bend in the month of April against the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. And at that time, you were like, wow, all right, you get a good feeling about this team. But as Max just said, when Jordan Wicks and DJ Hirsch were called up on literally the same day to Double-A Tennessee, that was after Wicks struck out 10 in his last Midwest League start in Peoria. And then you get guys like Luis Devers and Porter Hodge. Devers at the time, when Devers got called up from Myrtle Beach, he had to go into the bullpen. That's how stacked the rotation was. So you just throw him at the top, you throw Hodge at the top, and don't forget, Daniel Palencia sticks around, Cole Franklin sticks around. The level of the rotation into the second half, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Luis Devers is potentially going to end up being minor league pitcher of the year, most likely for the Cubs in the minor leagues, which is crazy that he started in the bullpen. But you guys have been flush with talent, which we're going to get into. But I want to start with the postseason kind of recap of sorts. So you finished the season with 5 games against the Cedar Rapids Colonels, and then you went into a 3-game series with them. That went 3 games, and in the 3rd game of that, the name you just dropped, Daniel Palencia, 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, dominant performance. He's got a crazy 100-mile-per-hour fastball, nasty wipeout slider. That was unbelievable. Then you get another series. That's the divisional round. Then we go to the championship round. This time you're facing Lake County Captains, the high affiliate of Cleveland Guardians. Really loaded team, very good at pitching development. You drop the first one in South Bend, knowing after that game that you had to go play 2 in Lake County. Max, what was the vibe in the clubhouse after that game 1 loss?
Well, it was a crazy game because, we've really been riding hot starting pitching for about a month. You felt like if we put up a few runs early, we were just going to, walk away with a win. We had a 5-0 lead early on that day in Game 1 in that loss. But, Lake County, credit them, scrappy bunch. They get on base just like crazy. Yeah. They don't strike out much. They put the ball in play. But, I think the atmosphere in the clubhouse was still fantastic, even with a day in between Game 1 and Game 2. Maybe you think to overthink it, but not at all. I think top down from Lance Brozdowski down, this team is just so loose. It's just incredible to be around. There was no stress, and I think they really did think they were going to go win Game 2 and Game 3. And when you snuck out a victory in Game 2, I think we knew we had him in that final game.
And then the Game 2 and 3 of that series back in Lake County, really good performances from the bullpen in particular. Joe Nahas went 3 innings. Sheldon Reed closed it out. Brendan, I imagine there was, again, a lot of guys who graduated from the pen. You had Zach Lee there, who's a leverage arm I love. He went up to Tennessee, lost all those guys, but clearly other guys stepped up, right?
Yeah, you think about that playoff run and the bullpen itself. 3 guys come to mind. Michael McAveen, Jake Reindl, and Sheldon Reed. You mentioned Reed. He closed his last 11 appearances of the season, only giving up a combined 2 runs. He was excellent. Michael McAveen, he was a big reason of why South Bend won Game 2. The tying run for Lake County was at third base, 90 feet away. He got Petey Halpin, one of the best hitters in the league, to swing at the first pitch with a man at third, inside fastball, jammed him up, just a pop up to third, game's over. And then Jake Reindl, he goes a combined 2 innings in the postseason. Strikes out 4 batters, each inning scoreless. Those 3 guys, they lock things down.
With the long flowing hair in the works. You got good hair. I feel like I got good hair. Brendan's got good hair. Jake
Reindl might have your hair in person, by the way.
Jake Reindl might have the best hair in all the minor leagues, Max.
Yeah, and he is just absolutely electric. If you remember back to, he closed out that no-hitter for Myrtle Beach. If you've seen that video of him finishing out in the 9th inning.
Pumped.
Similar when he closed out Game 3 of the divisional round for us. You get him on the mound and then Pablo Aliendo behind the plate. Those are 2 of the most, just vocal, physically exciting guys you're ever going to see. So it was just a thrill, and Rindle was just absolutely electric this year.
I mentioned 8-1 on Marquee Sports Network with 4 walk-offs. This team, the entire year, we're talking about clutch situations. They were incredibly clutch in the playoffs. Where do you think that comes from, Brendan?
From the top down, Lance. I mean, with Lance Rymel, our manager.
Great first name.
Yeah. I mean, he kept it so cool, as Max just said. And like I said, the catchers, Casey Opitz, Pablo Aliendo, and Caleb Knight, for some reason, those guys were the spark plugs. And to talk about Pablo Aliendo, he is the star of South Bend Cubs on Marquee Sports Network. We need to get the actual stat going, but Aliendo hit at least 400 on this network, including a walk-off home run against the Cardinal affiliate, the Peoria Chiefs. So for some reason, these guys played their best baseball in the bright lights, and they were aware. Every time we were wearing these polos, they're like, hey, you guys on Marquee tonight? And they showed up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a testament
We wanted to start telling Pablo
built.
we were on Marquee when we weren't on Marquee.
You see that average stick right up. That's unbelievable. The talent, you mentioned Pablo Aliendo is maybe a name that not a lot of Cub fans know. We know names like Piquet Armstrong. We know names like Owen Casey, Hendrik Pinango and such. Who offensively or defensively or just any player in general, Max, jumped out to you on the field with their on-field play this year for the South Bend Cubs?
I mean, on field the most, it's hard to go with anybody but PCA just from what we saw. I mean, we saw Matt Mervis, who's just had an absolutely incredible season. For
Crazy he started at high A.
I think 26 games we had Merv, and it was just like, I mean, every day you were getting extra base hits, doubles, home runs.
Way too advanced.
8th inning on, he was just absolutely incredible with the plate. But, I mean, what we saw from Pete in the second half, he was, top 5 in the Midwest League in about 9 offensive categories. He was first, I think, in 4. I mean, we've talked about him a lot. You knew you were going to get back-to-ball skills with him. This is a guy who only played 6 games of minor league baseball all of last year that the Cubs trade Javi Baez for. You didn't know just how well he would slug. And, boy, he slugged so well all year. Stole a ton of bases, hit for average, hit for power. And the Gold Glove defense in center. I've never seen somebody play center field in the minors that well.
Yeah, I think you might have stolen your answer, but give me another one, Brendan.
Well, how about the guy that was playing right next to him most of the year, Owen Casey? I mean, the outfield absolutely stacked, and Casey was the #1 prospect coming back in the Yu Darvish deal from the San Diego Padres. So what OC did this year, look, the Midwest League, it used to be a low A league. Of course, now it's a high A league. The Midwest League was hard for 19-year-olds when it was low A.
Yeah.
Talk about sending a 19-year-old to high A to begin the year. I think that should tell you everything you need to know about what the approach is from top down for the Cubs, and especially what Justin Stone thought about Owen Casey heading into this year, the Cubs director of hitting. He was confident to send him to a cold Midwest League South Bend in April. OC struggled a little bit, but he made up for it. And look, Max, that last swing that he took in Lake County, there were 3 home runs hit by the Cubs in that game 3. Owen Casey, Pablo Aliendo, Luis Verdugo. That home run, Max, it might have not landed yet.
I mean, you talk about, guys who were clutch when the lights were shining brightest. I mean, Owen Casey had what we thought was the moment of the year, on his 20th birthday, 2 hours away from turning 20.
Walk-off homer, I remember that.
His last swing as a teen was a grand slam with 2 outs when we were down by 2. But then he comes back, winner-take-all game in the division round, 4 RBIs, that tied a career high. And then that 3-run homer that got us on the board in the last game of the championship. I mean, this ball probably traveled over 460 feet. It cleared the batting facility, the building they have beyond the right field wall. Somehow they found it, but I mean,
I didn't even know that actually.
I mean, it was right over the foul pole. No idea if it was fair or foul. You can't tell when it's hit that high. But I mean, it was just the most majestic shot we've seen all year long.
Let's close this out by talking about Lance Rymel, the manager of the team. It seems like to some extent they're potentially grooming him to be a manager of a higher level or maybe even some other capacity management. But he's a really interesting guy because he's worked in the Dominican Summer League. He went to Eugene. He ran the Arizona Complex League in 2021. Brendan, what stands out from a leadership perspective? What's like the big thing that you'd say that convinces you he could manage at higher levels?
Well, the #1 thing is that he's not even 32 yet. He is young. He is full of energy. He's smart. He's personable. And he just gives off a vibe that, all right, this guy, he's going to be at a big level someday. And I think what I respect most about Lance is what you just said, all the stops he has been to. He had Christopher Morel when he was in the Dominican Summer League, right? I mean, so he has seen these guys just when they were coming up. And now I saw Lance posted a picture with Chris at Wrigley on the field. And actually, Lance is here right now, apparently through batting practice yesterday. But I think he has such a bright future, especially in the managing ranks. And he treated us well this year and never got a bad vibe from him. So definitely rooting for him.
Yeah. Any interactions particularly for you, Max, with Lance?
Well, he's just so transparent. I think when it comes to us in the media, just every single day, it was just an honor to talk to him. He's just great with the players, real player kind of manager, keeps everything so loose. And you mentioned all of his stops. You know, he's come up through the system with a lot of Cubs stars from that 2016 World Series team. And now he's going through the system with a whole bunch of great minor league talent. And I think BK mentioned the most important thing is, you know, he just turned 32. So you're trying to predict where this guy's going to be given the success that he's already had. I mean, the last 2 seasons, he won the Arizona Fall League Championship last fall. Now he comes back and, you know, wins the High A Midwest League title. You think about where this guy could be when he's, you know, 40 years old or in 10 years from now, and, you know, sky's the limit.
He's got a great first name. I hope it eventually rises up through the Cubs system. But that's a great segue as well, because we're going right now to an interview after the break with Lance Ryan. We talked to him after the championship and everything, you know, about the players on the team and the impact he's had. But again, we got to take a look at this trophy and go out on the trophy, because this thing is gorgeous. It still looks like a Gold Glove trophy to me, but Max Thoma and Brendan King, broadcasters for the South Bend Cubs, the 2022 Midwest League champions, second time in 3 seasons. Beautiful trophy, beautiful season. Thanks a ton for joining us, guys.
Thanks
so much for having me.
After the break, Lance Ryan and Porter Hodge from the championship-winning South Bend Cubs. Stick it with us.